Hi, this is Dodger and you're watching my show. Man, guys, I have had quite the night. It was Sam's birthday and he decided he wanted to do a 12-hour stream, but then somehow it turned into a 24-hour stream and he literally just went to bed. I took a power nap, so I'm like okay right now, but if I crash in the middle of this video or just start like slurring and drooling everywhere, you'll know why. For our first piece of news, for anybody who is a Sherlock Holmes lover like I am, and you're looking forward to the next Ace Attorney game, you'll be delighted to know that Sherlock Holmes is in the game. Now the next one is called The Great Ace Attorney and it takes place in the past, so it totally makes sense that Sherlock Holmes would be there trying to solve crimes and whatnot. But following the trend of super awesome Lady Watsons, Sherlock Holmes will have a Lady Watson, except it's not quite a lady, it's a child lady.
Her name is Iris Watson and she's an 8-year-old genius.
I've been looking forward to the next Ace Attorney anyway, so now knowing that there's going to be some Sherlock Holmesy crossovers and that they're doing something different with it is kind of exciting for me. By the way, if you've never tried out the Ace Attorney games before, you should definitely be trying them on mobile, because the way that it works with iOS, I'm not sure about Android, but the way that it works with iOS at least is you get the HD trilogy for free, but that just kind of like lets you try out the first chapter and then you can continue buying it by chapters. So you can try it out and see if you like the format of the game and you like the way that it plays, and if you do, then you can buy it chapter by chapter or just buy the whole thing, which I think is a pretty good format if you weren't sure whether or not you'd enjoy it. So yeah, just so you know. Anyone who is still deep into Guild Wars 2 will be excited to know that the Living Story season will resume in November. Now as a reminder, the Living Story content is basically like little updates that progress the storyline of what's going on in Guild Wars. It's really cool. It keeps it all fresh, it keeps people coming back to see where the story goes, and it comes in seasons, so again, it keeps you coming back every few months in order to experience everything that's new. And it sounds like the thing that's dropping in November is probably going to open up a new zone, which is pretty cool. The fate of Tyria hangs in the balance. The world's races are uniting against the Elder Dragon Mordramoth. Their first lesson, there is no sanctuary. At the culmination of the first half of Season 2, Tyria's leaders had gathered for a secret summit at the Grove at the base of the Sylvari's sacred pale tree. They proved an easy target for Mordramoth's forces facing a surprise attack by the Shadow of the Dragon. Tyria's heroes are now scattered across the world but in pursuit of one goal, how to bring the battle to Mordramoth. The secret may lie in a vision delivered by the pale tree moments after she was badly wounded by the Shadow of the Dragon. What did the vision mean, and will a united Tyria be enough to thwart the threat from this powerful Elder Dragon? The fight continues. Season 2, it will continue on November 4th with all sorts of new stuff to do, so that's pretty dope. Man, guys, speaking of MMOs, I've been getting back into World of Warcraft and it is the weirdest thing in the world. It's like I never got a character past 30. 30 was as far as I ever got with any of my tunes, and then I was like, I'm good, and then I'd start with a new character, right? So I've been trying to like actually experience the story of World of Warcraft. Like I read every single quest, I try to follow what's going on, and man, that stuff gets deep like immediately. Anyway, it's cool because like World of Warcraft has all of this story that's already developed and has already happened, and I think the way that Guild Wars 2 is doing it is a very good way to keep the community active and engaged and excited about the potential of the series and what could happen in it. So Apple had their press conference and they were like, look at the iPhone 6, but also the Apple Watch.
We're introducing an unparalleled level of technical innovation combined with a design that connects with the wearer at an intimate level to both embrace individuality and inspire desire.
Now everybody's like, oh my god, Apple Watch, that sounds really cool. Except me. I feel like I'm the only person in the world who's like, good, I don't need that. But my favorite part is that ever since then, EA has apparently sectioned off a little group that is specifically trying to figure out how they can put games on the Apple Watch. And this is not just one team. No. This is 2 teams prototyping games for the watch. Only the watch. Now, fortunately, for the most part, it sounds like they're not trying to do the obvious thing of like, we could put Snake on there. you could just like, you know, just like rotate the stuff and then it turns, you know? It sounds like what they're trying to do is figure out how to have the watch integrate with games that are on other things. So like say that you had an RPG game, right? If there's some sort of a trading management aspect to that game, figuring out how to port that part of the game into the watch. So like you would play the game on your tablet or whatever else, and then if you were waiting to see if somebody bought your cool sword, then you could check that on your watch if you wanted to. It's like when the Wii U came out and everybody was waiting for them to do really cool things with the Wii U screen in conjunction with the actual game, rather than it being like, you could play it on here or you could play it on there. It's like the same thing. And some of them figured out very quickly, like you could take all of your items, all of your backpacks, whatever the game requires, right? And put it all on the Wii U gamepad, and then the rest of the game exists on your TV. And that was like the perfect way for these things to work in harmony with each other without it just being like, I'm managing too many things. So if they're trying to do that with a watch, with the Apple Watch specifically, I'm gonna be so curious. I'm gonna be so curious to know whether or not that's gonna be the worst. But like, it is in their best interest, right? Because every company is pushing toward wearable tech. So assuming that eventually we're all gonna have cool smartwatches, EA might as well try to be like one of the first ones figuring that out. All right, here's a big thing that a lot of you might be pooping over. Apparently, Microsoft, allegedly, is going to be, supposedly, purchasing Mojang. Acquiring Mojang. I'm sorry, not purchasing, they're acquiring Mojang for $2 billion. Now, I said all of those words that basically mean maybe, because we don't honestly know whether or not that's happening for sure. There are just so many sources being like, this is totally happening. And yet, Microsoft and Mojang have yet to say a thing about it. They haven't said, nope, that's not happening. They haven't said, yep, that's totally happening, which for the most part leads people to believe is probably happening. Supposedly there's going to be a press conference tomorrow, Monday, September 15th, for them to announce the acquisition. So we'll see what happens Monday. If nothing happens Monday, then maybe it was all just a big farce. But if something does happen Monday, then we were all on the right track. The weird thing about the Mojang acquisition is that for the longest time, Notch was like, nah. He didn't want Mojang to be corporate. He didn't want them involved in any buyouts, nothing. And now, something's changed, and I'm curious to know what that is. It sounds like the reason that Microsoft is interested in having Mojang, aside from the fact that Minecraft, is because their mobile market at Microsoft is so poor. It like doesn't do well at all. But Minecraft, for whatever reason, no matter what the light touches, no matter what Minecraft winds up on, it does really well. And it blows my mind, and nobody understands why. But for Microsoft, it seems to them as a way to up their numbers for mobile. Now, would that mean that Notch is like done with Minecraft? Would he be like, all right, you guys got this, I'll see ya? Or would he stay on and continue to run the whole thing with all of his bros? For most of us, when we heard that Leroy Jenkins was going to be nerfed in Hearthstone, we cried to the heavens, thank you! But then we continued reading and found out the changes to Starving Buzzard. So basically, Leroy Jenkins needed to be nerfed, right? Everybody knew that. Everybody was waiting for that to happen, and they were doing a big balance change that's going to change a bunch of different cards. Specifically, I am most upset about Starving Buzzard because it is now going to cost 5 instead of 2, so that's going to change all sorts of strats. But it's also going to have 3 attack 2 health instead of 2 attack 1 health, which will be really nice. That means that when you're up against a mage, they can't just be like, ha! Just like, get rid of it. But Leroy, man, first time that happened to me, that pairing happened where you just had 3 Leroy Jenkins and you just died, that was bizarre. Like maybe the weirdest thing that I've ever experienced, except Kel'Thuzad. Kel'Thuzad is another one where I was just like, are you actually kidding me? Pretty much across the board, we all knew that Leroy Jenkins needed to have something happen. Like just a little something needed to go on there. But Starving Buzzard, I don't know. You could have left that alone. It's fine. I'll unleash the hounds later. Can I also say for the record that I'm still really bad at Hearthstone? Like, I'm supremely bad at that game, and I don't know how to wrap my mind around being better at it, but it's still just so fun. Isn't that special? Isn't that special when you find a game and you're like, wow, I'm terrible at this, but man, I want to keep playing. As a final bit of news, if you are playing Wildstar, perhaps you've been trying to go through the process of attunements and it's been taking a while. I've had so many friends talk about the attunements process in Wildstar, and just like, it's like watching somebody try to calmly explain a thing that makes them just slam their head into the desk. So basically there is a change that is happening to the Wildstar attunements that is going to make it easier to get through. I don't think it'll make it easier in terms of difficulty. How do I explain this? They've said that the length and complexity of the process is going to stay the same. You just have to do less. The difficulty is still there. There just aren't quite as many requirements within the process. Does that make sense? Also, as a person who has never been in a raid before, I had attunements explained to me about a month ago, and I was like, wow, didn't even know that was a thing that you had to do ever in the world. See guys, I'm growing. I'm growing as a person who learns what MMOs are and what's going on with all that. Anywho, that's been my show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a positive or a negative response, feel free to leave it in my comment section. And if you'd like to have coffee with me, you can click wherever I put the annotation and it'll take you to my other channel. I started playing a Hatoful Boyfriend on this channel. I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but it's been very fun. I would love for you guys to check that out. We also had a welcome to the fandom that went up that it seems like not many people got in their sub boxes. It is called the Fandom Flower Crown, and it is a Hannibal fandom video. So if you'd like to check that out as well, that would be amazing. But otherwise, I will talk to you guys again next weekend. Okay, bye-bye. Mwah. It's fine, I'll unleash the hounds later.